Today I'm going to be explaining the terms JVM, JRE, and JDK. These are terms that get thrown around a lot when you start working with languages like Java and Kotlin. I'll also be explaining why there are so many different distributions and versions of the JDK and what you need to know to just get started developing. We first have to understand how Java programs are run. So firstly, we write our Java program in .java files, or we can call this our application source code. A single Java program probably contains many .java files. We then use what's called a Java compiler, which is essentially a program that converts your human-readable Java code into bytecode. Bytecode is stored in .class files, and this is machine code that acts as instructions for the Java virtual machine. The Java virtual machine, or JVM, is basically just a program that lets you run Java programs. So the JVM loads the bytecode and interprets it for your underlying operating system and hardware to run the program. The use of a JVM is why people call Java a platform-independent language. You can write a Java program on any computer with any operating system, for example, Windows laptop, and you can run that program on any other piece of hardware running any other operating system, as long as you have the right JVM installed on that system that can interpret the bytecode into whatever that system needs. Now that we know how Java programs are run, how do we get access to the tools like the Java compiler and the JVM? We need access to the JVM through a Java Runtime Environment, or JRE. But if you're developing Java applications, then you can just install what's called a Java Development Kit. The JDK includes the JRE, the Java compiler, and everything else you need to both build and run Java applications. This diagram from Oracle for Java version 8 shows, for example, what you get in the JDK and the JRE. So if you're trying to download a JDK, you might be wondering, why are there so many places I can download them from? Well, you'll see a lot of distributions or different variations of the JDK being offered by different vendors. And essentially, it's their own version or fork of the JDK. A lot of these third-party implementations are based on an open source version of the JDK called OpenJDK. So how do you pick which one to use? Well, for most people, it probably doesn't matter for your own personal applications. I personally like to follow the recommendation on whichjdk.com. It's a website that has a recommendation as well as an explanation of which one you should pick. In terms of which version of the JDK to download, well, if you're working on a personal or new project, using the latest LTS version is typically considered safe. LTS means long-term support. This is basically a version that the given distributor has said that they will continue updating for the foreseeable future. These updates might mean dealing with security vulnerabilities and just providing ongoing support. But if you're working for a company, typically they would already have a version that they're using, and normally you would just stick to that one. So what are the differences in the different JDK versions? Well, the different JDK versions essentially reflect different Java versions. What that means is each version usually has new language features, such as new keywords and new syntax introduced in the Java language. The JDK upgrade might also contain other things like security fixes. I really liked this video from the official Java channel, which explains the differences between Java version 8 to 18. Now, to make it even more confusing, you might sometimes see people refer to Java version 1.8 and Java version 8 interchangeably. Basically, they refer to the same version. For some reason, the actual developer version is 1.8. For the product, they just liked referring to it as Java 8. Now, if you're working in a company, they might not be using the latest LTS version or latest Java version. And the reason for that is that If there's no particular new language feature that they want to use or nothing's broken, then the company might just have other priorities such as developing new features rather than getting their developers to upgrade the JDK version. And there could be some complications. For example, your codebase might be relying on third-party libraries that haven't been updated to deal with the latest Java version. And that's it. I hope you found it useful, and until next time.